Hi, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Crystal Clear Convos. I'm your host, Crystal Smith, and I'm so glad that you decided to join us for one more episode. Here we have transparent conversations that inspire change, and I'm so excited to have my guest on today joining me for another exciting topic. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you go in and follow Crystal Clear Convos on all social media platforms. It's all one word. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and we provide words of inspiration, updates, a little comedic satire for you. So make sure you follow us on all things Crystal Clear Convos. So, without further ado, today's topic is about transition. And it doesn't matter if you're transitioning from a job into a new job, whether you've completed your career goals and you're transitioning into retirement, whether you have worked a 9 to 5 forever and now you're transitioning into being an entrepreneur, whether you're having to transition into being a caretaker. There's so many different transitions that come about in life. And today, my guest wants to share her transition with you and hopes to be able to share some inspiration, motivation, or whatever it is that you may be able to gain from this conversation today. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and bring her on and we'll get right into the convo because the time always flies by. Today, we have joining us Dr. Rhonda Ross. She is the CEO of A New View for You Life Management. And we are so excited to have you. Welcome, Dr. Ross.
Thank you for having me, Crystal. So glad to be here with you.
Thank you. Dr. Ross and I go way back. We go back to babysitting and we're good friends. She's an amazing person and definitely someone who has inspired me over the years. So when I was kind of looking at the word transition, we're going to allow you to kind of give us a little background on yourself, but I just want to kind of set the stage a little bit. I wanted to talk about change and I wanted to talk about transition. So, change is the actual event that occurs in life, and transition is the process of adapting to those changes. So, whenever we talk about a processes take time. When you're transitioning from one thing to another, it takes time to fully adjust and fully transition into whatever it is that you're trying to do. Stepping out of something old into something new, kind of like a rite of passage or crossing over into something different. And then we have the physical transitions that we do here. And then we can also have spiritual transitions in our lives. And we can go from one level of transition spiritually to another. And it could be simultaneous, it can work parallel. To me, when we talk about spiritual transitions, for me, that was kind of like moving me closer into purpose, transitioning from Crystal operating as Crystal and being the hustler and working hard, transitioning over into what God wanted me to do in ministry and spiritually in my life. So, what I love for right now for you to do is to share with us kind of your background on the road to transition. You actually were helping me out with some edits, and that's how I knew where you were as far as transitioning from your career in education and being an educator into retiring and now moving full time into your position as a CEO for your own company. So, welcome again. Why don't you give us a little background on yourself and then we can get right into the convo?
So, very clear when you say transition, that is so true. TION, shun is the suffix that means the process of. And so I live my life in 5 year cycles, always 5 year cycles. Everything, even when I was a full time teacher and that was my career, it didn't matter. Every 5 years, even in my career, there were changes that had to be made, movements that I made when I had interests in things. And so as I was getting closer to what looked like it was going to be time for retirement. I had like 5 years left in the link. Even before then, I would do workshops. I always did workshops. I always parallel did things. I never was just a teacher. So I was always a workshopeteer. I write workshops. I was theater person. I wrote plays, I produced plays. I always had something else to do, but I knew once I retired, I wanted to walk into my new life. I didn't want to have to say, oh, I'm retired. Now what am I going to do? So 2018, I sat down and one day I just stayed home from work and it was clear. My point is you have to know what your purpose is. What and your passion
Exactly.
is your purpose. Your passion
Mhm.
is your purpose. What makes you happy? And so as I was getting ready to get ready to go to work the next day, I felt the Lord say to me, I want you to stay home tomorrow and just watch channel 20. I just want you to watch the Christian channel. I don't want you to write anything down. I don't want you to take any notes. I just want you to observe. And I did. I
Mhm.
stayed home. I just observed all day. And then afterwards, I turned on the TV and I'm like, okay, what's up? Now, when I say God speaks to me, that means a thought that is smarter than me, but nicer than the devil comes to my mind. I'm not that smart.
Okay.
The devil's not that kind. Are we good? So
Good.
the TV's off and then the thoughts are coming. What do you do with yourself? Even as a special education teacher, what do you do? What is your tag? What's your mark as an educator? I change lives. I help children stop seeing themselves as insufficient to becoming
Mm.
sufficient. So I've had students from a self-contained classroom become nurses, to become architects, to become engineers, and they were told they would never be anything. But we changed our mind because every day we said, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I am somebody and I will do great things with my mind. Every day, before you could pick up a pencil in my classroom, that's what we said. So we changed the narrative of our lives. The first thing we have to do is change the narrative. God put the pen in our hands. What we say out of our mouth, we speak that life or death into our own lives. So then
Yes.
I said, I change lives. I change people's minds. I give them a different view. And that's where a new view came from. A new view for you. If you had a TV show, the thought said, what would you say? And I'm sitting in my bedroom and the music's playing in my head. And I'm like, da, 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 and welcome to a new view for you with Rhonda
Come
Ross. I
on.
was even a doctor at the time. And I'm laughing and I'm talking. And so I just began to nest. So I'm here to encourage somebody today. You have a thought in your mind. My family thought I was nuts. My sisters were like, girl, you better stop that mess. You need to be a principal. You need to be an administrator. I didn't feel that. I knew what was
Mhm.
pushing me. So, what's pushing you? Start nesting. What do I mean by that? I gave myself a name. I called myself who I was. And then I gave myself a brand. I have about 27 pair of cat glasses because cats have nighttime acuity. They
Come
can
on.
see in the darkness. So, in the
Yeah.
darkness of your situation, I'm Rhonda Ross helping you see it the way God does. So then God taught me introspective perception. Now I have my brand, my purpose, and my name. You have to know what, and I stuck with it. I don't change it. People are like, oh, you wrote a book. I've written 7 books. You need to be an author. That's not what I do. I'm a life transitioner. I'm a life coach. I'm a life manager. That's what I do. Now, that's who I am. And so what I do and who I am, that's what we have to clarify. That's what we got to
Right.
get clear. You can do a lot of things, but who are you?
Mhm.
I am a person who paradigm shifts the minds of God's people through his word, through my inspiration. And I don't change that. I can sing, I can dance, I can cook, I can crochet, I can do a lot of things, but I am a life manager. I help people manage their lives through paradigm shifting their thoughts because
Yeah.
your perception is your reality. That's my job. So, whatever it is you are feeling the pull and the passion to be, that's who you are. I remember on Sister Act 2, she says to Lauren Hill, she says, girl, when you wake up in the morning and that's the only thing you can think of, then that's what you're supposed to be. You're a singer. So you get up and you sing. If you wake up in the morning and hair is what you're thinking about and you got hairstyles in your mind and you're practicing on your friends and that's who you are. You're a hairstylist. And so then you do it. Other thing I had to realize was what was missing in the recipe of it all. Since I had my vision, my purpose, my plan, what I lacked was prestige. And I didn't know how to monetize what I was doing because I was taught be humble, humble yourself, lay low, go low, don't pump yourself up, don't be arrogant, don't be prideful. But I was not being prestigious. And so now I'm in a season, even as we speak now, of learning how to be prestigious with humility because that's who
Mm.
Jesus was. He was prestigious. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody knew what he did. And he didn't undo what he did. He didn't dumb down himself to make other people feel comfortable. And I had a bad habit of doing that because I thought that was being humble. But that's not humility. Humility is when you take your plan and put it on the back burner so that the plan of God can be made manifest and executed in your life. And so now I'm in the season of walking into prestige with the spirit of humility. And everything is a learning process. And I don't mind humbling myself to sit in the seat of the learner as much as I know, as much as I think I know at least. And I sit in the seat of the learner because in that seat, that's where that's where the answers are. Someone once said, if you want to get better at what you do and you want to become more expert in what you do, you don't go to the people who have the answers. You go to the people who have the questions. Because people who have the answers need to seek more knowledge because they think they know it all. But people who have questions are constantly seeking. And because they're constantly seeking, they're constantly arriving to places of information and knowledge. And so I sit myself in the seat of the learner. I get around people who are excited and motivated to learn and to get more knowledge. And in so doing, I'm constantly learning new things. Constant. And I don't mind being coached. I'm a life coach, but the coach needs coach. And
Right.
it was in getting a coach that I learned the word prestige. I couldn't figure out, I remember growing up and when we would have dinner like Christmas and Thanksgiving, and they make the potato salad or they make the stuff and they say, taste this. What's it missing? Does it need a little more sugar? Does it need a little more something? And I was always a taster girl. I'm a foodie all the way back. So I would taste it. Oh, it needs more relish. Oh, it needs more. And I kept tasting my life. I was helping you with your book. I was coaching people become authors, but there was a taste that was missing. Something was missing, and it was prestige. I didn't know how to embrace the greatness because I didn't want to become like King Manasseh, Hezekiah's son in the Bible, who allowed people to blow his head up. And then he became so arrogant, God had to send the
Right.
Assyrian army.
Powerful.
God had to send that Assyrian army to bring him, snatch him up real quick. That's okay. I've had enough snatch ups in my life. I'm good. And so I decided now I understand prestige is what I'm missing. So, to an entrepreneur in your transitions, yeah, get your vision and write it down.
That's what the word
Don't
says.
write it down and write it down in a specific place. A specific, don't write it on pieces of bubblegum wrapper, paper napkins, Sunday's program. You got stuff all, keep it in one place. And that way you can always go to it and refer to it and build on it. And then you will see it will manifest. You don't have, the Bible says your gift will make room for you and place you in the presence of great men.
Absolutely.
You don't have to shout yourself out. You don't have to fight to be seen. You don't have to put on no big stage performance. All you have to do is walk in it, walk in it, be it. And as you are it, you will become it. And people will talk about you in rooms that you don't even know your name is being mentioned.
Come on.
People will say, oh, yeah, you heard about so and so? Yeah, I know. And people will call you. You don't have to call them. They will call you. And the other thing is when you see someone else, and I'm going to give you this one and I'm about done, but I remember seeing a young lady, and I won't call her name. I'll just say I remember seeing a young lady on social media. And I used to get so annoyed. Is she up here again? What is she? Lord, every time I turn around,
Oh, it's a couple of them
yeah,
on my timeline.
talking about? What's she talking about now? Every time I turn around, that's just flesh on parade. And one day God spoke to me and said, is she really? Or are you annoyed by her because she's doing what I told you to do and you're too chicken to do it?
Oh,
So instead of being annoyed by her, take out your pencil and your paper and take notes and pay
so
attention.
I just want to interject right there because you've said so much that I don't even know if I can unpack it all. As you can see, I'm having video issues. I'm having microphone issues. Everything want to act crazy over here, but thank you for being the true professional and keeping it moving. We're going to keep it going. The enemy don't want this good word to get out there. So if y'all see green in the background, whatever it is, just focus on what we're saying. I had that exact same situation where somebody kept popping up in my timeline and I would get annoyed as well. It's like ad nauseum. I mean, like done, annoyed. And then the Holy Spirit was like, you're jealous. And I was like, I don't do jealousy. I'm not jealous. I'm not, I'm always, oh, sister girl, do your thing. I'm so happy for you. I'm excited for this person, elated for that person. And the Holy Spirit was like, you're jealous because you're not operating in purpose. You want to get annoyed by what she's doing. Do
Yes.
what you were called to do and what your purpose is. And then you won't have to be annoyed by how many times she pops up in the timeline because you're working on your own stuff,
How
right?
about that?
So I had that same exact
Yes,
situation.
ma'am.
But I wanted to reflect back to what you said earlier on about being able to have a passion and being able to feel like it's your purpose, because I feel like that adds so much momentum. And finding out what your purpose is, it's something that comes easier for you. What your gifts and talents are, something that comes easier for you than for most people. And it allows you to be able to put that momentum behind it to be able to truly excel and get to places that other people wouldn't. And I think that a lot of times we're so busy comparing ourselves to other people. Oh, well, Crystal Clear Convos is not as good as this other person. So I think I need to wait until I can get to this point. The important thing is to start, because comparisons kill. Comparisons will kill your vision. It will kill your purpose. It will kill so many other things and allow you to never start. And so, to your point, that's just so true. The momentum behind all that. I also wanted to make a point about analysis paralysis. So many
Mm-hmm.
times we sit and we analyze something over and over again. Did you have any moments where you overanalyzed what you wanted to do, or you compared yourself to others and what you wanted to do? Were there moments where you felt like you couldn't get started, or you weren't focused in getting to where you needed to go? I know one day I talked to you, was like, let me give you this whole list of everything that I've accomplished. I've done this and I've done that. And I'm like, wow, you doing it. So, like, are there any times that you felt unmotivated, or that you couldn't get started, or not consistent?
Um, but that wasn't my hiccup. My hiccup was never that. My
Okay.
hiccup was, as much as I was doing, and I'm going back to the word, I didn't have prestige. I
Mm-hmm.
did not see myself as others saw me.
Mm.
And
Oh,
because it was
that's such a good
natural for
point.
me to do what I did, I didn't
Yeah.
see anything big about what I was doing. I'm breathing. So big deal. You breathe, I breathe. Why are you excited? Because I'm breathing. You understand?
No.
It happened for me this year. And I'd
Really.
seen it once before. A principal had become the new principal of a school where I was teaching. And I just admired her so much. When I was going back to my room, God said, what you see in her is what people see in you, though you
Yeah.
cannot see it. And I still didn't see it. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
we see we see
whatever.
you as Dr. Ross, and you're like, oh, I'm just Rhonda.
And I'm Rhonda. And
And
this
not.
year, I had the privilege of having a young lady as one of my employees, because now I am also a site coordinator for the Virginia Department of Education. And a
Okay.
young lady who works under my supervision, I just we couldn't click. I was like, what's
Mhm.
wrong with this chick? Everybody loves me. I'm Tom Hanks. Are you kidding me? And it
I'm
wasn't
not gonna try what
working.
you do.
I wasn't working, and I realized, you know what? Stop forcing this girl to try to have a relationship with you. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be your friend. You know, say, and that's why I went to her and I apologized. I said, I want to apologize to you because I really am this fuzzy wuzzy was a girl kind of a person, and you're not fuzzy. So I apologize, and I shouldn't force you into that. This young lady said something to me that literally, number one, brought tears to my eyes, and number two, has just absolutely changed my entire life. And I finally got it. She said, no, it's not that I don't want to be fuzzy with you. I don't deserve to be fuzzy with you. You
Hmm.
don't, you don't get it? I was like, no, I don't. What are you talking about? I don't get it.
She held you in
What is
high
your problem?
prestige.
She said,
Mhm.
you're Dr. Ross.
Mhm.
I am, and she called her name. She said, my goal is to be, by the time I get to where
Mm.
you are, you're going to pass me. I will never have the right or the privilege to call myself to go eye to eye and toe to toe with you. Who do I think I am? That's disrespectful. I honor
Mm.
you.
Wow.
We will never be here because you're here. I was so stuck. First of all, I've never had anybody say that to me in my,
That's
not
amazing.
like that. I
Yeah,
was just
that's
like,
amazing.
that was
So
amazing.
So, what do you say to people? I was recently talking to someone who's very accomplished. He
Hmm.
does very well financially with investments in the religious sector. And he said, have you ever gotten to a point where you just feel like what you're doing is not good enough? Like it's not sufficient. Like you're supposed to be so much further along. And all along, he's working in what he believes his purpose is. He's doing his kingdom work. He's still being able to monetize things because I do feel like God gives us gifts and talents that we can monetize and live off of and be successful in.
Absolutely.
But what do you say to the person that needs that extra push or just that vote of confidence when a person feels like I just feel like what I'm doing isn't sufficient anymore. It's not good enough anymore.
Because the void that that person is filling in their life has nothing to do with their purpose.
Mm.
There are other voids because, so here we go, and you see you pulling me into stuff, and I'm trying to stay within my time frame.
Well, come on,
So
come on.
talking one day to the Lord in my prayer time, I'm like, okay, God, because as you both I'm divorced, right? Twice. And I'm like, okay, God, what's my problem? Because see, this is something I'm supposed to be able to do.
Real talk.
and and the Lord spoke to me and said these three words. He said, equilateral kaleidoscopic personality. And I said, what in the world is that? That had to be God because I never heard of it before. Equilateral, all things the same size. You know, a
Mhm.
kaleidoscope?
Mhm.
That's the little tube you can look in, and all the shapes and prisms are the same size, but they overlap and make different images, right? We have different parts to our personality. Nobody's just one thing. We're all different things. Some days you may come to my house, I might have jazz playing in my home. You might come
Mhm.
to my house, I'll have CCM Christian music playing in my home. You might come to my house and I've got the comedy channel on. And you might come to my house and I have a church service going. There's many parts to our personality. Depending on where a person finds you, that's how they embrace you. Does that make sense?
Makes
So when
sense.
you know me as a teacher, people who know me as a teacher, they don't play with me because they know I'm a stiff and stern teacher. I don't play. But people who know me as Sister Butterbean, the Christian comedian, girl, you crazy, you a clown, da 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 da. But people who know me as the evangelist and the ordained minister of God that I am, then they know me from. So people know me from different. And when you're like you, who's my little sister, you know all of me. So do you know? And you can tell by my facial expression which way I'm going in this
Where you
conversation.
going? Oh,
I've been in
gotcha.
conversations where I've had to go Brooklyn on people, and I've seen you
Oh,
go,
and you
"Oh
can.
Lord," and I've seen you go, "Oh Lord," and hold your head down, like, "Please stop." And so different. What happens is sometimes, especially when we get busy in purpose, and that's I'm talking about self care. When we get busy in purpose, we have to be very careful that we are not ignoring other areas of our kaleidoscope
Yeah.
because that's where the void is. So I could be like right now, I'm just great. I'm doing great things. I'm doing wonderful things. But I'm always 2 days in the year that are very important to me: my birthday and Mother's Day.
Mhm.
Because I want people to be excited that I was born. And I want people to be excited that I gave them life.
Yeah.
I don't care about Christmas. If I don't get anything for Christmas, I could really care less. If I don't get anything for Valentine's Day, I could really care less because those are days that I give.
Mhm.
And on those days, I'm more interested in who did I impact than I am is what did I get. If I get 1,000 gifts on Christmas, but I never gave anything to anybody, I'm not happy. And people would
Right.
say, "Oh, you got everything you wanted for Christmas," but I didn't fulfill that part of my kaleidoscope. Do you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I would say to a
Right.
person like that, in your kaleidoscope, what are you ignoring? What are
Mm.
you emotionally not tapping into because you think you're fulfilled because you do have money, you do have influence, you do have impact. Do you have love?
Mm.
Is somebody making your toes curl? Is your
Right.
heart
Come on,
tingling?
curly toes.
you know, because they don't have to be your husband. And that's the other thing God spoke to me. You're so busy looking for a husband, you miss
Mm,
the picture. I said in my word, it's not good for man to be alone, not so that you can say, I'm Mr. or Mrs. somebody's child, but you need
mm-hmm.
companionship.
Yes,
You need someone that gets you so that you can
absolutely.
get done what I need to get done.
So that
They may be
partnership, that teamwork, we're on a team, we're working towards a
yes,
common goal, we're
yes,
building something together. Yeah.
together, together,
Mhm.
or watch this, or you're building something and it may not be my thing. Do you know what I'm saying? But I got your back.
I got your back.
I got your back. You understand
I'm
what
gonna
I'm
hold
saying?
it down.
And,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's a line, and because theater is my thing. So in
Got an
Grey's
actress.
Anatomy, and I'm done because I think my time is up. In Grey's Anatomy, the major surgeon and Diane Carroll were trying to have a little something, something going on. All right. Diane Carroll, very much like you and I, go get her. She's a head surgeon too. And the head surgeon says to her, a woman like you who works so hard, I can imagine when you get home from work, after being there for everybody, pouring out for everybody, giving to everybody, and just draining yourself. I'm sure after a very hard day's work, you just need something like a nice, soft, cushiony pillow where you can kind of just curl up on with a nice cup of coffee and a soft blanket and just some nice jazz music. And she goes, oh my God, that sounds amazing. Yes, that's what I need. He says, I want to be that cushion.
Oh, come on, cushion.
And so
Lord, send us a
sometimes,
cushion, Lord.
yeah, come on, cushions, because I'm ready. So sometimes what's missing, and for me, like during looking for church membership, because I'm a pastor's daughter. I am a
Right.
professional church person. I know all the games, I know all the backdoor tricks, I know all of that because I'm a pastor's daughter and I'm actively
Yeah.
involved in ministry. So it's hard for me to grab a hold and join a church because I'm past that stage where I need a church because I need friends. I need a church because I need family. I don't need church for
Right.
that. I need a church because I need direction. I need a
Right.
church because I need understanding. I need a church that knows its proficiency in the earth and why they are a church.
Right.
Because you can't, because
So
I don't need to go to dental school to become a beautician. I don't need to go to law school to become a baker. I need to go to the
right.
school that's
And
offering me.
that's such a good point. And I hate to cut it short right here. But I think you said so many valuable nuggets. In closing, 15 seconds. What would you say to the audience regarding transition to surmise everything that you just said?
Have a relationship with the Lord. If you have a
Because
relationship
he's
with the
going to
Lord,
guide you, right?
He's going to guide you. If you don't have a relationship with the Lord and a prayer life, get it. Because it doesn't mean that you're sinless and it doesn't mean you're perfect. It means that you're wise enough to depend on Him and His direction.
Awesome.
And He
Awesome.
will
So
lead and guide you in the direction you need to go.
awesome. So, do you have a platform website that people can find you? I know
Yes.
people need life coaching. Let's get it in the next few seconds.
Yes. So it is www. A new view for you. That's NUVU, the number 4, the letter U.com.
Awesome. Dr. Ross, thank you so much for joining us this week. Everything that
Yes.
you said is so valuable, and I hope people have yielded and gleaned something from what you said regarding transition. If you haven't done so already, fam, please make sure you go and follow all things crystal clear. And until next week, be blessed.